Get that water out of the goddamn huddle. I tell you when you get a fucking water break.
Welcome to the Buccaneers Observer Podcast. This is Ralph Phillips.
I'm Molly Bay.
Today is January 2nd, 2020.
Happy New Year to Bucs Nation.
Yeah.
New decade.
Still dealing with the hangovers.
We're trying to start again.
Start what again?
Another hangover.
Oh, yeah. Molly's biting the hair of the dog that bit her. Or what is it? Is it biting the hair? Bite the...
Hair of the dog that bit you?
That's all I know. Hair of the... I mean, what do you do? Bite it or drink it? Or
Drink it.
Drink the hair of the dog that bit you? That's gross. All right. Got the all 22 coaches film review done of the Atlanta Falcons game. Week 17, last game of the season. Boy, it was just as depressing to watch as it was to see it live. Actually, I wasn't really depressed by it. I was very thrilled with the way everything turned out. Of course, I would have loved to win. I would have loved to see Matt Gay make those 3 field goals. I would have loved Jameis Winston not to have thrown that interception at the end. But all in all, I like this team. There ain't nobody I don't want to see back. There's nobody that I don't want to not see back. Yeah, I want everybody to come back. I'm going to be sad anybody we cut.
BA said that their priority is to get the defense, the front 7, re-signed everybody there. Sue, JPP, Shaq Barrett. They were like their 3 big ones.
Definitely the strongest position on our team.
Then he also said that extending Chris Godwin is high on their list of priorities.
Second strongest unit on the team.
Right.
The wide receivers.
Exactly. So I'm excited for free agency. I don't think that they are going to start working on that anytime soon, especially with Winston. BA said they're going to do some evaluating, and we likely wouldn't really know until March.
If you listen to that post-game press conference, Arians was not real thrilled with Winston. That's the first time he's ever been like that, where he flat out blamed Winston for that last interception. And I was kind of like, ooh, man, this does not look good for Winston going into the offseason with Arians pissed off at him.
We'll talk about those comments later because it stirred up some controversy as well.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the one that you're going to put at the end? I think you should.
Already did. I did that.
You did?
Yeah, did that last podcast.
The last one.
After the game, yeah. Yeah, I wish we could just freeze all the players, put them in suspended animation or whatever, and then just restart them week 1 next year. I'm not looking forward to free agency. I'm worried we're going to...
I am, because I think that we're going to get a lot of the guys back.
I hope so. All right, what did we see from the game? Well,
I feel like it's been so long since we played. I don't remember anything.
Well, I was extremely drunk, too, so I didn't remember much anyhow. I was so drunk that last podcast. I was slurring all my words and stuff. Okay, what did I see on the coach's film? We played more physical in the first half of the game. Towards the end, it looked like we were getting a little tired, but we were definitely more physical. There was a lot of pushing and shoving going on after the plays. We were throwing people around. Got the YouTube video done. It'll be posted up on YouTube probably Friday around afternoon, some point. But I pointed out a couple of those plays where our guys were just being much more physical. The big takeaway from this game was our field. Remember last year we played Atlanta, or was it last year or year before? I think it was last year. We played Atlanta at home, and I counted 20-some plus slips.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Same thing in this game. Over 20 slips in this game.
That is so weird.
We got to look into that field. It might explain a lot why Matt Gay doesn't make kicks at home.
Jenna Lane tweeted that he's been dealing with leg and back injuries also.
Yeah, that's true. He was hurt. Remember when he tried to make that tackle against Houston? But also, our home record is worse than our away record. Our away record was, 5-3 this year or something like that?
Well, other teams don't seem to have a problem in our stadium.
That's true.
Except Aaron Rodgers, because he's a punk.
But yeah, the guys were slipping and falling down all over the place. Something about, I don't know if it's the quick, but me and you have been bitching about that for years.
The equipment manager.
Yeah, if they got a new one this year, it doesn't seem to help.
Well, who knows what it takes in Florida where you're getting a lot of rain. I'm sure that they have to have special drainage on the field. And
they do.
Yeah,
something's up though, man, because it's just slip sliding all over the place.
Did it rain that day?
Probably. It's Tampa.
Does it rain every day, like even in December?
Yeah, probably. Winston made a lot of tight throws into coverage. A lot. As a matter of fact, it was very rare if he had a guy open. Same could be said for Matt Ryan. Both of our secondaries played quite similar. They were really attached to the receivers. There was not a whole lot of open receivers out there. Except, there's one I'll get to later. But Winston was having to throw some serious tight balls into coverage. Too many. A lot of them were not wise throws either. 35, Jamal Dean almost blocked a field goal kick.
Dang it.
He came within inches of it. I don't know if they just started having him on the edge of the special teams unit. I don't ever recall ever seeing him out there. But yeah, he came within inches of blocking that thing. He's so long. And he's got that length, as Arians like to say, length. But yeah, he stretched out, almost blocked it. That was in the second quarter. The O-line played well. Winston did not have a whole lot of pressure at all. He did have a few times where he got happy feet. I pointed one out in the video, where there was no pressure on him whatsoever, and he just ran out. But the O-line played really well. Ronald Jones had his best day running, I think.
Oh, yeah, of his career. He had over 100 yards.
I wouldn't say it was necessarily because of the O-line blocking, no.
Oh.
There were a couple of times where the O-line did open up huge holes for him, and he would go the other way. It was kind of weird. Our running backs seemed to do that quite a bit. Of all the offensive linemen, DeMar Dotson had the worst day. He looked just really pooped out there. He was not putting a lot of energy and effort into it.
The old guy, he's getting tired.
That might be it.
Ready to go out to pasture.
I wouldn't be surprised if we lost Dotson this offseason.
I mean, at a minimum, we need to draft a replacement.
Yes, I agree with you there. Our special teams has got to start playing better. Our punt and kick returns, these guys got to start blocking, man. They're not getting the job done. I mean, as soon as the guy catches the ball back there, he's being swarmed by the opposing team. There's just too many instances where guys are not blocking anybody or looking confused out there or just getting all jumbled up with each other.
And if that's the case, it's not really going to matter whether we draft a specialist or bring in a specialist, because if they're getting hit immediately, It's not going to make any difference.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who we put back there at this point. Yeah, Ronald Jones had his best game. He really had a really good series in the, I think it was the third quarter, from about 8:37 to 5:07. We had a good drive. Ended up Matt Gay missing a field goal towards the end. But he had 4 runs in that series. It was 8 yards, 25 yards, 16 yards, and 8 yards. I mean, it's just like every time he got the ball, it was like, boom, he was gone. And most of it was him. It wasn't like our offensive line was opening up huge holes, and he wasn't getting contact until he was 10 yards down the field. He was juking and jiving all the way down there. Atlanta did a lot of dive blocking, where they, like the offensive line and the tight ends and stuff, when they were in charge of blocking somebody, they would go at their knees,
Is that legal?
Yeah, it's legal. You just kind of get in the way of them, try and trip them up.
That's the best they can do, I think.
Yeah, there's a term for it, but I can't remember what it is. Let me look it up real quick. Chop block.
Really? You couldn't remember chop block?
Oh, no. Well, anytime I think chop block now, I think of the illegal chop block.
Right.
So that was very interesting, just to have the linemen block that away. And it wasn't just the linemen. The running backs did it. The tight ends did it.
Interesting.
I don't really recall if they did that in our first game or not. I don't think so. But it was a lot of it. And you could tell our defense was getting kind of pissed off at it.
I think at that point, don't you just kind of shove them in the dirt?
Right. Or just jump over them.
Yeah.
But it seemed to work good with Vita. He had a problem with it. He would get caught up in it more than...
Well, he can't jump more than like 3 inches,
Right.
so...
Yeah, so, that's what they might be figuring out. Hey, you got to take him down, take him out of the ankles, take him out of the knees. Shaq Barrett. He got, 3 sacks, right?
I think so. No, I think... Well, I don't know. I don't
2
remember.
sacks?
2.5.
Something like that.
JPP got quite a few. 3, I think.
I couldn't recall which way it was, who got 3 and who got 2.
JPP hit all his bonuses.
What were his bonuses?
I don't know, but I think it was like sacks and all the incentives he had in his contract. He hit all of them, which is impressive considering he didn't start till week 8, week 9.
Okay, so Barrett had 3, JPP had 2. Shaq Barrett got 3 sacks, playing less than 50% of the defensive snaps.
What?
Yeah. And a lot of those he was dropped back into coverage on. That's an incredible amount, ratio. Yeah, so he played 44 defensive snaps.
Why wasn't he playing that much? Does he normally play that much?
Oh, yeah, no, he normally plays up
like
in the
100%.
70, 80, 90%. Yeah, it's very strange. I think what they were doing is they wanted to get a look at Patrick O'Connor and
Okay. Nelson.
Was he out there? Yeah, they both played 18% of the snaps apiece, which is really high for both of them. Nacho played 15% of the snaps, but that's just pure speculation on my part that they were wanting to see a little bit more from O'Connor and Nelson. We did a lot of weird different configurations on the defensive front. We dropped Sue back in coverage a lot, Vea back in coverage, Golston back in coverage,
How
Nash
did they
back in
do
coverage.
back in coverage?
Yeah, they did all right. I mean, this was good. They basically just stand there. It's not like they're going to be chasing after receivers.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, for Barrett to get 3 sacks on about, I'd say, 38 plays.
That's incredible.
That is incredible. That's one sack per 11 plays or so. That's nuts. He had one, I'll put this in the video, the last sack he got, he lines up and he recognizes, I don't know how he recognizes it, but he recognized that the running back was going to run out for a pass, kind of like a screen pass, except he didn't have any blockers in front of him. He just ran out to the left. He was lined up back in the back with Matt Ryan. And you see Barrett go to line up, and then he points at the running back, and he turns around, and he starts telling everybody, apparently, hey, the running back's getting ready to go out for a pass. That's this play. I tell you, we got a smart defense. These guys know football. And sure enough, they hike the ball, the running back runs over to the left, and Matt Ryan goes to throw it to him. But unfortunately, they didn't block Shaq Barrett on that play. So he just had a straight shot and clobbered Matt Ryan before he could get that ball off. But Shaq Barrett read it the whole time. He knew. But there was nobody out there covering that running back. If he wouldn't have got to Matt Ryan, that would have been a big play. So that was his last sack of the season. It was just really neat seeing him, tell everybody, hey, this guy's uncovered and he's going out for a pass. That's what it looked like he was saying. But he definitely knew what was going on with the play. But then they didn't block him because they figured they could get the ball out fast enough. But he's so fast, and the running back didn't turn his head around quick enough. Right?
And that's really not a gamble you should be taking.
No, I didn't. No, not with Shaq, man. Okay, biggest thing about this game was the last drive by the Atlanta Falcons. That's what won them the game. And it was a large combination of we screwed up, and they played very well. On 4th and 4, they had a 4th and 4. This was 1:19 seconds left in the fourth quarter. I think they were on their 41, somewhere in that area, about midfield. It was 4th and 4. They had to make this. There was no, if we would have stopped them here, game over. We were up by 3. They were trying to get down the field, score a field goal. They got a first down because MJ Stewart was in the game, and he gave the running back or the wide receiver going across the middle just too much cushion. The guy was able to catch the ball, but he didn't catch the ball past the first down marker. He had to run for the first down marker. He still had about 3 yards to go. 24, Orion Stewart, came in like a missile. I mean, the guy, he read the play the whole time, so he comes running down from the safety position. He's got his eyes targeting this guy, and he missed him. Totally whiffed. And the guy didn't even try to run for the first down. He just kind of jumped forward for it and landed on his back to get the first down. I was like, oh, but MJ Stewart was in because Bunting got hurt. So, and that was another thing, too. I even pointed this out. I did this for you, Molly, in particular. Matt Ryan is one of the best quarterbacks at reading the field. If you fall down or you screw up in coverage, Matt Ryan's going to throw it to your guy. It's just how it is. When Bunting got hurt and fell down, Matt Ryan immediately recognized it and threw it to the guy he was covering, and he ended up getting like 20 yards or so. But it was just I find it because I talk about it all the time, and there was a perfect example, Bunting pulls up. I don't know what he had, a hamstring or a knee or something. It was non-contact.
I thought ankle.
Might have been ankle. It was non-contact.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but as soon as he falls, you see Matt Ryan look over there and see it. Boom, do it to his guy, 20 yards. But anyhow, back to that drive. Okay, so they get the first down.
I remember that play on the broadcast, too, when it was so demoralizing because...
The 4th and 4 play?
The 4th and 4.
Yeah.
Because we had him behind that line of the line to gain.
Yeah, it was...
If 24 had made that tackle...
If 24 had made that tackle or MJ Stewart would have stuck to his guy. MJ Stewart looked like he was kind of confused out there a lot. There's another play I'll get to here in a second. He wasn't playing with the oomph that the rest of the secondary plays for sure. And he looked confused, but that was man coverage and he was supposed to follow his guy. He let the guy get out in front of him, kind of jogged behind him. But anyhow, so that was a mistake on our part there to get that 4th and 4. Very demoralizing. Then 47 seconds left. 3rd and 12. 3rd and 12.
Now, we have been phenomenal on 3rd and long all season. Yeah,
there was at one point a few games ago, and I haven't looked it up. I don't even know where to look it up. But we hadn't allowed a 3rd and 7 or more all year long. That's just amazing.
I know.
So anyhow, 3rd and 12. We got this, right? We got 3rd and 12.
Oh, yeah.
No problem. They tricked us. They snapped the ball before we were ready. Our whole secondary was talking to each other, like facing each other. Even Ndamukong Suh was turned around talking to the secondary. Our linebackers and everybody was not prepared for this play. And as soon as Alec Mack put his hand on the ball, he snapped it. And Ryan was in shotgun position. So, they weren't expecting them to snap the ball that quick. And he snapped it, and their whole offense is moving. Our guys are still turned around looking at each other. It took them a second to realize what was going on. And this was the only time in the game where they had a wide open receiver, and he shot across. It was 14 Hardy. He gets wide open in the middle and catches a pass, then plus the yards after the catch. He ended up with 21 yards, put him in field goal range. So that's 2 mistakes on our part on the last drive they had. Two disastrous mistakes. And it was 2 good things on their part, too. Yeah. But we just were not. It shocked our whole defense. You could see they were all just like, what? There's guys running past us. And then they were, so confused they left a man open in coverage. And, of course, you leave a man open coverage with Matt Ryan, he's going to see the guy to throw it to him. You can't make mistakes with Matt Ryan. Then with 38 seconds left, right? This might have been the next play. 83 Gage is his name. He got a 12-yard reception that put him in chip shot field goal range. Before they were in, kind of iffy field goal range territory. But then he got a 12-yard reception, put him in field goal range. Guess whose fault that was?
MJ Stewart?
Yep. And Carlton Davis was furious. Just flapping his hands and goes up to him and was pointing at him. Yeah, MJ Stewart, I couldn't really tell from the film whose responsibility it was. There was 3 Buccaneers on that side of the field covering 2 guys, and one of them got open. But MJ Stewart wasn't doing anything. He was kind of sitting there. It looked like they were playing a zone coverage. I want to say it was quarters, but MJ Stewart and another defender over on the other side of the field lined up exactly in the same spot. But the receiver that caught the ball, 83 Gage, was closer to Stewart. And Stewart was in the line of the path of the ball if he would have just moved over about 3 feet. But he left it open, and the guy caught the ball. And boy, was Carlton Davis furious.
Well, remember during the offseason, MJ Stewart, the coaching staff, was talking him up. Nick Rapone, the defensive backs coach, was just glowing about him, how he'd be the nickel or he'd be the starting safety. And then come the regular season, he's a backup. It was a very strange...
I haven't seen much of him all year.
Not at all.
Yeah.
He hasn't been starting. He comes in occasionally, but I think that he just got outplayed by these rookies, and you can't really blame the coaching staff.
He was not playing with energy out there. He actually kind of looked like he didn't want to be out there. Even when Carlton Davis went over and started yelling at him, he just turned around and walked away. He wasn't like dialoguing with him or trying to communicate or anything.
Maybe that attitude is a holdover from Vernon Hargreaves.
That could be. Yeah, maybe Vernon Hargreaves was his friend. Now, for the big one, the interception, overtime, Jameis Winston. 100% Jameis Winston's fault. I thought it was an out route that he threw, but it wasn't. It was more of a hitch. He threw it to Cameron Brate. Cameron Brate went out about 6 yards and then turned around and sat waiting for Winston to throw in the ball. Winston should not have thrown the ball. The linebacker didn't hardly move the whole play. He just stood there.
So he clearly knew what was happening.
Yeah, he did. He was, a few feet away from Cameron Brate, just standing there. And when he saw Jameis Winston throw the ball, he just walked right in front of Cameron Brate, grabbed it, and ran it in for a touchdown. It was, Cameron Brate could have moved over a little bit, tried to block the guy from getting the ball or whatever. And Jameis Winston should have thrown it sooner than he did, too. He waited a little bit longer than he should have. But he locked in on Cameron Brate that whole time, didn't look anywhere else. Threw that ball in there. It was one of the easiest picks in the world for that linebacker. All he had to do was take two steps, and he was right there, and then he just ran it right into the end zone. So I could see why Bruce Arians was furious about that one. I thought it was more of an out route, and the guy had undercut the route, but it was a hitch, and the guy undercut the route, but it wasn't like anything special he did on his part. He was just like, oh, hey, that guy's throwing it right there. I'm just going to step in front of it. So definitely Jameis Winston's fault. Looking at this game, I said after the game at the instant reaction that we were definitely the better team. I think we were about the same team.
I think that's been the case for years.
Freeman was running all over top of us. Not too many big guard runs, but, he was getting 6, 8, 12 yards like that, straight up the middle. We haven't had that all year. Derrick Henry did it, but that was due to a lot of holding on their offensive line. No, he was running.
Yeah, but Devontae didn't get any more yards than anyone else ever does. It's not like he had like a 100-yard game against us.
But he was getting these up the middle. Nobody's been able to run up against the middle on us. And he was getting them quite frequently. And a lot of that had to do with the rotation we were putting in. A lot of times the guys weren't the run stoppers, and guys were slipping and falling down. A lot of missed tackles in this game.
That's so unlike us.
Yeah, it was. So this is a hard one if you say, did we win it? Did we lose it? Did we beat ourselves? Did we beat them? Did the refs give them? There was a play where Matt Ryan threw intentional grounding. They didn't call it. That made me furious.
I hate that call.
Oh, I know. They got to do something about that. I mean, Jameis Winston got called for it during the game. Matt Ryan didn't.
Are you surprised?
No.
Me neither.
Yeah. But this is a really tough one because they played well. It wasn't like they were out there screwing up, or not a whole lot. And we lost the game on that last, and it was our defense that lost it for us.
On that last drive. It shouldn't have never come to overtime.
It should not have come to overtime, exactly. And it was a long drive that they got real quickly, and it was mainly because we screwed up.
And we know Matt Ryan can do that.
Right. Except in the Super Bowl. And, so did we beat ourselves? And that's what I'd have to go with here. We beat ourselves. We just made dumb decisions, big mistakes that cost us. Matt Ryan will capitalize. This team will capitalize on your mistakes. And we made mistakes. That overtime throw by Jameis Winston, it was just a bad decision. They capitalized on it. Snapping the ball early, they capitalized on that mistake. Got a 20-some yard play out of it. We fall down in coverage, they capitalized on it. MJ Stewart, doesn't cover his man good enough. We miss a tackle, they capitalized. You know what I'm saying? So it was, we shot ourselves in the foot, they capitalized on it. So it's hard to say. Did we lose it? Did they win it? Did we, that thing. So I'm just going to call it a wash, 50-50.
Draw.
Yeah. Our defensive line is heads and shoulders above theirs. I mean, their guys didn't get any pressure on Jameis Winston, hardly at all. So we should, just on that, we should have won the game. But, our kicker missing those field goals, Jameis making some stupid decisions, a few breakdowns on the defense. But that one where they caught us off guard, I was like, I don't know if it was masterful or if it was just, I wanted to throttle our defense. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, they all fell for that. But Sue fell for it. Sue is he's a football studious.
He's got a high football IQ.
Yes, very high football IQ. And he wasn't prepared. He was caught off guard by that one. Yeah, of the 11 guys in our defense, I think 3 or maybe 4 were ready at the snap. So the other 8 were totally unprepared. And it really comes down to those few plays. That whole game did it. So it was a good game. I still like this team, man. There ain't nobody on this team I want to see leave. Maybe MJ Stewart. No. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he was on the chopping block.
Yeah, I think that the guys at the bottom end of the roster have got a lot of worrying to do because we got to sign our big boys. Everybody else is sacrificial lambs. All right, so yeah, don't forget, go check out the YouTube video on the our YouTube channel. Just search for Buccaneers Observer or whatever. You know what? Nah, if you're not even subscribed by now, come on.
Why are you listening to this podcast?
Yeah, why are you listening to the podcast? Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Then you're done. You could share them too. Let other fans revel in this gloriousness that is the Buccaneers Observer. All right, so yeah, we got some news.
All right, let's get to it. We're going to start with Bucs news and what's been going on this week, and then we'll go into the NFL news. Per Rick Stroud, Shaq Barrett became the first Bucs player to lead the NFL in sacks.
Big money coming his way.
Isn't that crazy?
He's getting ready to cash it out.
And he should, but I hope he gives us a discount.
Yeah, no, he played great. He played great in this game. There were some plays, but it's been like that all year. There was one where he was being blocked by a tight end and a running back, which is just dumb.
America.
Yeah, America. And he got a sack on that one, I believe. He just beat both of them up.
Did he beat the tight end with the running back? That's what I want to know.
He picked the running back up by the ankles, right. Beat the tight end to death. Perfect crime.
And then still had time to sack Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
The Bucs led the NFL in penalties this year. We had 134.
I bet 130 of them were Shaq Barrett jumping off sides.
We would have had more if Gerald McCoy was here.
Oh, that's true. He was always good for 1 or 2 a game.
We had 134 this game, 117 last year.
Wow. I did not know that.
But we finished third with penalty yards with 1,111, up from 975 last year. This is all per Greg Allman, by the way. We led the league also in pre-snap penalties with 56. We had 41 last year.
Those were all Shaq Barrett.
Yeah, he tries to anticipate the snap.
He had one in this game.
2 of the non-priority guys as far as re-signing, they made comments about whether they want to be in Tampa. Carl Nassib, he's going to be a free agent.
Shaq Barrett, hold on, don't mean to interrupt you. Shaq Barrett had 10 penalties this year. 5 neutral zone infractions, 5 defensive offsides, and 1 face mask.
Yeah, not that bad.
Yeah.
I'll take it
Yeah,
for the sack leader.
Yeah. I'll take 10 penalties for
Right.
19 and a half sacks. And plus all the other stuff he did. I mean, the guy was just he was
Incredible.
An incredible football player. We got to keep him.
Carl Nassib, so again, he'll be a free agent after the season. And he said that this was the best roster he's ever been a part of and the best team he's ever been a part of.
Oh, there we go.
So high praise. And then...
He's been on the team for, 2 years?
2 years, I think. Which was a steal and a fine by Jason Light. He needs to get a ton of credit for that.
Yeah.
On waivers from the Browns. Rashad Perriman said that he hopes to stay in Tampa. He said that this offense is fun to play in.
Man, he was spectacular in that game.
DeMar Dotson was on Pewter Report and said that the team should not move on from Winston. The locker room is behind him. So that's kind of a big thing, I think. And by the way, Ralph and I are actually going to debate the Winston issue.
Well, we say we are, but
We're going to do it.
we're going to do it this time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I love a good debate.
Pros and cons.
You know I'm going to argue with you.
Supposedly I am on the con side.
You are.
Molly is on the pro side. Okay. We're going to have a whole podcast dedicated to that.
We are. Oh, the Buccaneers 2020 schedule, not the schedule, but their opponents have been announced or have been solidified. So I'm going to go through those real quick. At home, we will see Green Bay, so Aaron Rodgers can bitch about our field again. He's going to see a lot of it with his stupid face in the dirt.
He's going to get a lot of turf in his helmet.
Right. Green Bay, Kansas City, Minnesota, New Orleans, the Chargers, Atlanta, the Panthers, and the Rams. We will see them at home. Away, we will be going to Chicago, Detroit, Denver, Oakland, the Saints, Atlanta, Carolina, and the freaking Giants again.
Well, it's good that we're not playing Green Bay at Green Bay, Kansas City at Kansas City,
Yeah.
or Minnesota at Minnesota.
And we're playing the cold weather teams early, Chicago and Detroit, although Detroit has a dome, so that doesn't really matter.
We don't know when the
that's
schedule
true.
is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could be at Chicago.
Ugh.
Cold, but that's the only New York Giants, that's cold too.
Yeah,
So.
that's true.
Yeah, Giants is a tough stadium to play in, but
And they always seem to have our number, like the Patriots.
Yeah, we're on that level.
We're on that level.
That Patriots level. All right, so, that's a relatively tough schedule for next year if
we'll
teams
see.
stay the same. That's a lot of playoff teams we're doing. Did Kansas City make the playoffs?
They did.
So
Yeah.
that's good. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, Green Bay, Kansas City, Minnesota, New Orleans, and that's it.
That's 4 playoff teams.
Yeah.
Out of
Don't hurt yourself over there, Ralph. You can do it. 12,
13.
19.
So 4 out of 13. How many did we play this year, playoffs teams? We played Tennessee, Houston, New Orleans,
Seattle,
Seattle,
San Francisco.
San Francisco. So 6 of our 16 games were against playoff teams.
And we lost
Teams
to
that
every single one of them.
They were close games. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, with Jameis leading the league in passing yards and Shaq Barrett leading the lead in sacks, we're the first team to have league leaders in both categories in the same season.
Damn, how are we 7-9?
I know. That's per Greg Allman, by the way. Again, we now officially have the 14th pick in the draft.
Slapdash in the middle.
Which, I don't know that since I've been a fan, we have ever been out of the top 10.
Sweet.
I can't recall that happening.
This draft is going to be a big deal for you.
Well, I don't know if I can stay up that late. Like the 14th pick, that's like, 10:30, 11? I'll be out. Ugh, the draft is so boring.
It's not that boring.
I
Well,
mean,
you know, if we knew,
it's boring.
if we knew,
Because we don't know
college
any of the guys.
Yeah.
So we're just like, yeah, okay. Devin White, that's cool. And we sound like that when we said it, too.
especially you.
I was mimicking you. Devin White is the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Month again in December, and he is the first player in 10 years to win that award in consecutive months per Scott Smith.
Sweet.
So good for Devin. I'm very, very pleased with that one. We were not high on him initially.
Well, he was just rough around the edges.
Yeah.
He solidified.
He hadn't quite gotten his footing yet.
And plus, he was hurt, too.
Yeah.
So. March 10th at 4 p.m., that's the deadline for teams to tag players, so we'll know if we're going to tag. We have a franchise tag and a
Tinder?
transition tag, so we get to use
What
2
is
tags
that?
today.
I've never heard of a transition tag.
This is the only year, and I don't know, it's because of things got screwed up with like the CBA or whatever. It's like in between where a team can use the transition tag and the franchise tag, so we can use both of them. It's where teams can retain unrestricted free agents by guaranteeing the club original first refusal to match any offer the player makes with any other team. Remember, with this happened with Michael Bennett. You know, he said he was going to let us match any offer he got from another team, but then he didn't. He just went to Seattle and signed with them.
Such a dick.
Yeah, we didn't transition tag him that year. We should have. I think we took his word for it.
That'll teach us, maybe.
Yeah, so there's something strange with the franchise and transition tag. So we'll be able to use both of them this year. We can use one for Jameis, one for Shaq.
I think we'll get deals done on both of those before that's necessary.
Yeah, and because the CBA agreement, this is the last year of it, it's called the final league year. And in the final league year, some critical contract rules are different. One of them is, this is if there's no agreement reached between with the new CBA,
Okay.
you know, in this time span. Remember, in 2010, the final year of the CBA was an uncapped year, meaning there was no salary cap. One of the years where the Buccaneers didn't pay anybody anything because we could go way below the salary cap without being penalized for it. So anyhow, we can keep both of them this year. Force them to be on the team, basically.
Whether they like it or not.
Right.
One last thing before we get into the big drama of the week. Bucs attendance is the team's lowest since 2010.
Come on.
Year. I know. They averaged 49,315 in 2010, and it's down 15% from 2017 and down 21% from 2015. So in 2019, we averaged 50,728.
You know, that's just not helping the team. It's not helping the team. What can we do to increase that, to get people to go to the games?
The biggest thing, and by the way, these numbers per Greg Allman, I like to give attribution.
Do you follow anybody else?
Scott Smith, hey, I had some Scott Smith stats thrown in there. It's not my fault, everyone else is garbage.
Oh.
So the biggest argument is that the team has put forth such a garbage product in the last decade, 12 years, that people will not spend their hard-earned money on season tickets. You bake in the sun, the tickets are expensive, it's fucking hot, which I will attest to.
You already said that with the bacon.
I know.
And
I gotta say it more than once.
Everything's expensive there. The beer's expensive. The food's expensive.
That's every stadium you go to. Apparently, our ticket prices are not that outrageous compared to other NFL teams.
Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, that's an understandable argument because the minimum you could go to a Buccaneers game with just 2 people, probably about $50.
What? I was thinking like 400 between the tickets and the food.
I'm talking about,
and the drinks.
cheap tickets or scout tickets or something like that. At this point in time, you can get cheap tickets and, a beer or two. Even if you don't drink, don't eat, just go there and fill the stadium up and make noise. We got to figure something out. But
I think people want to send a message to the team. And the fan base has been very cross with the Glazier ownership.
Every fandom is cross with their ownership, their general manager, all that, when they're losing.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns and the Redskins are perfect examples of that.
Oh, God, they hate their owners. They want Dan Snyder to be strung up in
midfield.
But, here's the thing. It's not just attendance at the stadium. It's our whole fan base, our fandom. It's small. We're the little guys.
Yeah, we have a real small market.
Very small market. Our primetime games are some of the least viewed in the league. Our Houston-Tampa Bay game drew 5.32 million watchers.
And how many of those were Texans fans?
Right. That's compared to the Dallas-Philadelphia game on Fox, had 25.32 million viewers. It's like, that's a big difference. That's 4 times the amount. And that stuff matters because if you don't have viewership, networks don't want to put your team on TV. Your team doesn't get on TV. Nobody sees it. You don't get any more fans. It's like a catch-22.
Never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
But I will say this year, and we've mentioned this before, that people say we are an exciting team. The announcers, almost every game, are like, man, this is a fun game to watch.
And you've got a lot of personalities a lot of characters on here. You got Ndamukong Suh. You've got Shaquille Barrett. You've got Levante David, Devin White, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Now you can throw Perriman in there. You got Jameis Winston.
Ryan Jensen. I love seeing him on the big screen.
Yeah, you got a lot of players that people that haven't picked a football team yet can go, ooh, that guy's neat. I like that guy or whatever, Whatever their reason for becoming a Buck fan is, I don't care just as long as they become Buck fans. We need to take over the planet.
World domination. That is what's on our agenda.
That's right. Fill that stadium up. Make the broadcasters want to put us on every week on national TV.
We'll see how next season goes. I think we kind of caught some attention this year. And especially with Jameis Winston, his whole contract negotiation, being the 30-30 quarterback. I mean, that's kind of a big deal.
Interceptions could be fun too.
Especially when you can overcome them.
I'm going to say this. That was our biggest issue with this team. I think it's plain and obvious to anybody, but Winston's 30 turnovers is what hurt this team the most. I can't think of anything else. The secondary was really rough to start the season. Our special teams was rough. Not much of a running game. But when it comes down to it, Jameis Winston turned that ball over 30 times. That's just interceptions. That's not all the fumbles. That's what cost us. That's what killed us. So he's got to change that. He's got to. Either that or throw 60 touchdowns next year.
Right. But, it was an anomaly this year. He's never thrown that many. He's never thrown 18-plus interceptions. We would have been thrilled to death with an 18-interception season.
Oh, my God.
And that's the highest he's ever thrown aside from this season. I do have a fact check. Last podcast, I had said that the offensive line, the sacks allowed had diminished as the season went on. That was wrong. It actually kind of dipped in the middle of the season and then went back up. So Molly's full of shit as far as that's concerned. Just talking out of my ass.
Well, we only allowed 1 sack on Jameis Winston in the Atlanta game. So there's that.
There is that.
So you aren't completely full of poop.
Just mostly.
3/4. All right.
All right, let's get on to the drama this week that happened almost immediately after the season was over.
Yes, now that the season is over, it's time to start paying attention to the media.
I know. I really stopped listening to them. There's so much going on during the season, and I think that everyone in the offseason is just kind of grasping at any little thing, and the journalists, too. I mean, their job is to report on the team. So even when there's nothing going on, they're trying to come up with stuff to cover, much like we are in the offseason.
Right. Yeah, during the season, I've got the football games, I got press conferences, got media reports coming from Buccaneers.com. That's really all I pay attention to. I mean, you're getting it from the horse's mouth. You don't really need the media at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus all the game analysis and keeping up with all that. It just takes up so much time. I don't have time to follow what the
And I just don't think that the media really has time to drum stuff up.
Yeah. But boy, they sure did.
Stir the pot.
They sure did immediately after the game.
So Bruce Arians' press conference. Was it after the game?
Yes.
It was after the game. And somebody asked him about Jameis Winston what was the question? Do you remember the question?
No. It's on our last podcast at the end of the podcast. One of the reasons why we put it on there is so that people can listen to it. And we adjust the audio so that you can hear the reporters' questions. A lot of times
you cannot hear their questions.
Yeah.
So annoying.
We've asked, a few years ago, Molly actually got them to start putting microphones with the reporters when they ask the question so you could hear it. But then they've fallen out of favor with that. They're not doing it this year. So anyhow, we adjust the volume so that you can hear the questions coming from the reporter. That's at the end of the podcast. So if you want to hear what the post-game press conference with the questions, go to our last podcast, listen to the last, I think it's about 12 minutes long. Listen to the last 15 minutes. So anyhow.
In any case, somebody asked Bruce Arians about the quarterback situation, and he said, we can win with this quarterback. We could win with another one, especially with this defense.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick Stroud and Jenna Lane tweeted the quote as, if we can win with this quarterback, we can win with another quarterback. And they did not include the part about the defense, and they inserted the word if. Now, I get it, because if you're sitting in a press conference and you hear it once and you don't have the option to rewind him and hear what he said, and sometimes those small words like if kind of get jumbled in the dialogue. So I think what they do is they sit in the press conference and they're tweeting these quotes, and they just try to get them out as quick as they can and move on to the next. Because you'll see when the press conferences are going on, they're all tweeting about these quotes. So I get it. And
mistakes happen.
And sometimes it is hard to hear everything just on the first shot and then not being able to hear it again until later after you've already tweeted. So I get that part. But the Bucs PR team took exception to this quote that was transcribed. And they particularly jumped on Jenna, which I thought, maybe they should have said something to Rick too. Not that I'm a fan of Jenna, because I'm not. So there's the original tweet that Jenna had and tweeted. And then she said, I addressed this in a tweet earlier, but it looks like it wasn't seen by some. The word if should have been put into brackets in this tweet, and it was corrected in the article. The if was initially done because it was implied in his comment. Reasonable. It sounds reasonable. But Scott Smith with the Buccaneers organization and Carmen Vitale took exception to this. And they were just, Scott Smith in particular, was not going to let it go based on Jenna's explanation. So his response is, so the solution was to add a word he didn't say to make it imply what you wanted, what you believed he meant to say. And then Jenna says, this is 100% what I understood the meaning of his statement to be when I transcribed it. Then Carmen Vitale jumps in and says, this whole quote has gotten misconstrued today. Adding if completely changes the connotation and misrepresents how it sounded in the media. And Jenna said, great, you two know how to get a hold of me, and if not, I'll slide you my number and we can have a thoughtful discussion. Twitter isn't the place for it. Good night. To which Scott Smith replied, I was replying to an inaccurate tweet, which is on Twitter. Seems like a good place for it. Yeah. Which I was very surprised, because Scott Smith is ever the professional and very even-keeled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely not a loudmouth, in-your-face, aggressive type person.
Not at all.
You wouldn't expect him to be the first one into this fight.
At all. And a fan, or someone in the comments to Jenna's correction said, when Kellyanne Conway retires, you can slide right in there, which Scott retweeted. And then Jenna said, now would probably be a good time to log off Twitter, Scott.
That's funny. Alternative facts there.
I know. And which Rick Stroud tweeted the same thing. And, I don't know how much they went at him.
It would have been different if they would have corrected it, but they didn't. They
kind of doubled down.
Yeah, they doubled down on it. I mean, it did change the meaning of the statement. Here's how Bruce Arians said it. He was like, we can win with this one. We can win with another one. It doesn't matter with this defense. That's basically how he said it. But the way they do it, the way they said it was, he was like, if we can win with this one, we can win with any quarterback.
Right.
With it, and then just left out the whole with this defense part. It just totally, and it was picked up by the national media. Of course,
someone said that it was on the NFL Network.
Yeah, Jenna Lane's ESPN, so it just gets blasted out everywhere that Bruce Arians says, if we can win with Jameis, we can win with any piece of crap that comes in off the field, basically. So it's one of the reasons why we put the conference at the end of the podcast here, so that people can hear it straight from Bruce Arians. They don't have to listen to it from the filter of the media. It's one of the reasons why we adjusted the audio, so you can hear who is asking the questions.
And how they're asking them is very important, and what they're asking and what type of stories that they're writing.
Me and Molly can identify almost everybody by their voice who's asking questions. There's a few every now and then that jump in and ask questions. We're like, who in the world is that?
Right.
But after a while, you get to know, you hear Rick Stroud or one of the Joes.
Especially listen to their podcast. That helps, too, to identify their voices. Yeah,
they have distinct voices, especially Ira Kaufman. You're very distinct. And Jenna Lane, you can identify hers because her questions are like 10, 15 minutes long.
Rick is almost as bad, to be fair to Jenna.
So I thought it was just disingenuous. I thought it was, journalistically, I thought it was unethical. You don't add a word in because you think that's what the meaning was implied. I did not get that from Arians when I heard it at all. I don't know where she got if from. It's just,
or Rick. I mean, he did it too.
Yeah, whoever. Did they both tweet the same thing out during the press conference?
Here's Rick's tweet. Rick said, Coach Bruce Arians, when asked if this team could win with another quarterback, quote, with another quarterback? Oh, yeah. If we can win with this one, we can definitely win with another one, too. And the if is not in brackets. None of it.
Was that tweeted out during the press conference?
I think so. I don't know for sure.
If they both tweeted it out during the press conference, then that sounds like collusion to me.
Or one of them saw the other one's tweet and filled in the blanks if they missed any. I don't know.
Just trying to stir up crap already. Yeah, they both should have come out and said, hey, we apologize. We misquoted him. Because they did. That's what it was. Misquote. Put it in brackets if you want to. But she only put it in brackets after everybody called him out for saying, adding the word.
Well, and you don't even have to say, I misquoted him, because that has kind of a negative connotation. But if you say, I just want to clarify this earlier quote, then you can come out and say, I think you look a little better if you say it that way.
I want to clarify why I put an extra word at the beginning that changed the meaning and took out the other half of the sentence that changed the meaning. I made it into what I wanted it to be.
Which that was the criticism that they got.
This team, is it good enough to win with another quarterback?
With another quarterback? Oh, yeah. We can win with this one. We can definitely win with another one, too. Because we're going to have a defense.
And you're going to sit back and go.
All right, that was the quote from Bruce Arians' press conference. I was wrong. I thought I had that press conference at the last podcast, but it was the post-game press conference. I didn't realize they were talking about the press conference from Monday. So that, what you just heard, was what the whole Twitter hoopla was about, where Jenna Lane and Rick Stroud had tweeted out that Bruce Arians said, if we can win with this quarterback, we can win with another quarterback.
Which implies that Jameis is placeable, that you can get anybody to fill his shoes.
And like you said, the question means just as much. And the question was, can this team win with another quarterback? And Bruce Arians was like, well, yeah, this is a really good team, basically.
Yeah.
We can win with this quarterback. Another quarterback, don't matter. It's good defense. Good team.
It was about the team, and the way that they portrayed the quote made it
like it's
degrading to Jameis.
Yes,
exactly.
Right. So I just trying to stir up mess. Starting early this offseason.
They're bored already. Weird.
I will say this. Arians did not seem happy with Jameis after the game, though. So.
All right, let's talk about another thing BA said about Jameis, which was his vision.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, this irked me with Arians because apparently he is farsighted, not nearsighted. He said that Jameis is nearsighted, and it's not really a big deal because he can't see the scoreboard, but he can see the guys in front of him. Now, I have been nearsighted since the 3rd grade in, mid-90s. And I will tell you, it's not just a matter of not being able to see the scoreboard. I've had LASIK, so I can see now.
She knows the difference now.
I know the difference now. And I wore contacts for years. But when you're nearsighted, it's not just that you can't see, like, the definition of objects, the outlines, but if they get far enough away from you, the color is also distorted too. You won't be able to see the color. So my vision was about 2400. I think I was legally blind. When I asked my eye doctor, like, what is my prescription? She laughed. So that's how bad my vision was. And I could see stuff in front of me without my glasses, but it was more shapes and blobs of color. But the further away they got from you, the less that you could see them. So Ralph has talked extensively about Jameis's inability to see receivers down the field. And I think his nearsightedness, which has now been confirmed, had never been mentioned in the 5 years he's been here, which I think is a glaring omission by either the organization, the coaching staffs, or Jameis himself.
Well, you had talked about it. You've talked about it ever since Jameis went here.
Yeah.
You think he's got vision problems.
He can't see.
And there was a point, I think it was this year, where some reporter asked him, I was Ira Kaufman or somebody, asked Jameis himself, it might have been Scott Smith even, if he had eye problems. And he said, no. I'm going to have to look all that up. But it wasn't an issue. And then when we heard this in the press conference.
Which is very offhanded, and BA was very dismissive of it.
Yeah, he was like, he wears goggles
it's not a big deal.
Sometimes, but, no big deal.
It is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
I am telling you, having lived with vision problems my whole life, it is a big deal.
Especially if what you're saying, where colors start getting hard to see.
Absolutely, because you will point out in the videos, he had so-and-so open down the field, 30 yards, wide open, would have been a touchdown. And I can't tell you how many times this season it's happened at least once a game, probably. And you can't see...
Especially if he's blending in with, like, the sideline guys standing there.
No, but you can't even see that far. You can't even see the shape. I mean, maybe my vision was maybe his vision isn't that bad as mine was.
I should hope not. Good Lord, wait, you're making it sound. The guy shouldn't even be allowed to drive a car, let alone a football team.
And someone said supposedly he had tried contacts. I think this was a comment in the Twitter thread, so take that with what it is. But that he had tried contacts before, but they kept popping out during the games. It's like at some point, why haven't they corrected that? Wear a visor, which we've seen him wear visors on occasion, and it did seem to help him. Can they make that
He was wearing one this week.
He was.
Yeah, Atlanta, or against Atlanta.
But not consistently.
I don't know if it's a prescription. I don't know if they make them.
Yeah,
I don't know if it would work right. But yeah, he needs to at least wear contacts.
Something.
Or those goggle things.
Some kind of correction.
Yeah, I remember Brian Greasy used to wear glasses underneath his helmet.
Right.
Yeah. Something. Get them sports goggles.
Get LASIK.
There's some reason why the guy's throwing all these interceptions. I think it might have something to do with his vision, but I think it's just that he don't care. Honey Badger don't give a damn. He's going to throw the ball to the receiver he wants to throw the ball to. It don't matter if there's 3 guys around him. He's
just going to rip it.
Like that pass he did to Perriman against Atlanta. 3 guys. He threaded that needle between 3 guys, 3 defenders, and got it right in Perriman's hands. And then there's the times he does
So he can do that. I don't know. It's, and that kind of says to me, maybe the vision problem isn't that bad. I don't know. All I know, you're nearsighted. The further away shit gets from you, the harder it is to see.
Good news, though. John Lynch has been nominated to the finalists, the Hall of Fame again, 7th year in a row. He'll probably get it this year now that he's really turned San Francisco around. It's kind of hard not to acknowledge the guy's contribution to the NFL.
Well, Ira has said that they try not to take their current role into consideration. It's just about their play. But who knows if his current role as a GM has hindered his Hall of Fame chances. Also, like it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, the guy deserves a Hall of Fame jacket. That's all I got to say.
We'll find out. We'll all be crossing our fingers for him. All right, let's get to all the coaching changes.
Round the NFL. What do we got going on?
It was so predictable this year.
And it was very, very
boring.
Few.
Yeah. It wasn't that many.
Normally it's like 7 or 8. This year I think it was, 2? 3?
Well, Freddie Kitchens got it, immediately.
Poor guy. He never should have. He was like the sacrificial lamb. He never should have been a head coach.
Well, it's Cleveland.
No.
Did anyone expect anything different? Has Jason Garrett been fired yet?
No, they're still.
Not that I've heard.
Nobody knows what's going on. They're having all these meetings between him and Jerry Jones and all this.
His contract expires on January 14th. So Jerry doesn't even need to fire him.
Just not rehire him.
Just don't rehire him. So we'll see. I don't know. The Giants fired Pat Shurmur. Doug Marrone with the Jags. He is safe. They're going to give him another year.
That surprised me.
Yeah. Of course, the Redskins, they fired
Jay Gruden.
I couldn't even remember his name. I've already forgotten him.
That was mid-season.
Yeah, mid-season.
But they ended up hiring Ron Rivera.
They did.
Yes, and he brought in
Jack Del Rio.
Good defensive guy. So that's going to be a defensive-minded team up there. They're keeping the Atlanta Falcons staff together. Coach Dan Quinn, he's staying there.
Matt Patricia is staying in Detroit. Adam Gase will stay at the Jets.
I could see the Jets, definitely, because they kind of turned around there towards the end.
So, really, we've got
3.
the Browns, the Giants. Is that it? And the Redskins, who hired... What's his face?
That guy.
That guy. I don't care about him anymore.
Yeah, this has probably got to be the calmest Black Monday I've ever seen.
Very quiet, yeah.
Which is surprising. I was expecting to see the Atlanta Falcons staff gone.
Right.
I expected to see the Carolina staff gone, Washington staff gone, Detroit maybe, definitely Cleveland, Jacksonville. I thought for sure that place was getting played up. No way, they just quit.
Miami,
yeah.
weird.
Miami with their 312 draft picks next year.
The Giants have interviewed, or is going to interview, the Cowboys passing game coordinator / defensive backs coach Chris Richard. Didn't we interview him too?
No.
I think we did. They're also going to interview Eric. I'm going to butcher this name. I'm just telling you now. Bieniemy, who is the offensive coordinator with the Chiefs.
Josh McDaniels is getting looks from all kinds of teams. There's 3 that put in.
Cleveland, I think the Giants.
New York, maybe? Yeah, that's what you just said.
I did. Mm-hmm. Matt LaFleur's brother is getting some interest, too.
Oh, God.
From the Browns.
They're going to pull him away from his photo shoots.
Now, listen, he's the passing game coordinator at the 49ers. So Cleveland wants to interview him.
Oh, well.
Mike McCarthy is he's interviewing with the Giants this weekend, and he's also interviewed with the Panthers and expected to talk to the Browns at some point.
Oh, man. Come on, Panthers. Pull through with this one.
I know.
Pull through with this one. Hire Mike McCarthy.
The Giants requested permission to speak to Josh McDaniels from the Patriots, and also the Patriots special teams coordinator / receivers coach Joe Judge. And the Panthers and Browns have also been granted permission to speak to McDaniels.
That's a weird one. You don't hear special teams coordinators getting interviewed for head coach jobs that often. It's usually offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators, not the special teams.
I feel like the special teams is kind of the redheaded stepchild.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
Always has been.
I feel like they would migrate to either, most likely to defensive coordinator. Like, I feel like that would be a promotion. So, no one's really been hired except for Ron Rivera, and only 3 coaches fired.
Very calm.
I know, very quiet.
Very quiet.
And for once, it's not the fucking Buccaneers, so praise Jesus for that.
Yeah, we're set for another year at least.
At least, yeah. All right, let's go over the playoffs. Here we go.
You're excited about playoffs.
I am excited about playoffs.
They're always
It's fun.
Yeah, always fun. It's more fun when the Buccaneers are in it, but you wouldn't know
But
that.
it's just that any given Sunday, you get the one chance, and then you're out of it if you lose. So
yeah, every game means everything.
I want you to tell me your predictions. Let's go predictions on this one.
Oh.
All right, the first game on Saturday at 4:35 is the Bills at Texans. Who you got?
I haven't really seen the Bills play that much
Okay,
this
I
year.
don't care about that. You just tell me who you
I got to
think is
give my
going to win.
reasons.
Okay.
And I have seen the Texans play. The Bills beat the Patriots this year.
Football math.
Man, I'm going to have to go with the Bills.
Ditto.
Okay.
All right. Next on Saturday, we've got the Titans at Patriots.
This is a messed up one because the Patriots are looking horrible.
I
at this
haven't
time of
even
year.
watched them.
Yeah, their offense is sputtering.
But here's the thing with the Patriots. They've been here before.
Right, that's the thing. You can't never count Patriots.
Right, and the playoffs
Especially
are
against Tennessee.
such a different beast.
Yeah, it sure is. Tennessee, I don't know. I got to go with the Patriots. But Tennessee, Derrick Henry's killing it out there. But really, they're just a solid team. But
Right, but we saw this with
It's
the
the
Rams
Patriots.
last year. Like, once they got to the limelight and got their asses kicked by the Patriots, you had that deer in the headlights look. You just had people who had never been there before
Yeah.
and didn't know what to do when they were having the crap beat out of them.
right, yeah, and the Patriots are very, very good in the playoffs, so. And the regular season usually. So yeah, we're both going with the Patriots.
Of course.
You can't not go with the
They
Patriots.
are my Super Bowl pick.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I need them to pull this out. All right, let's talk about the NFC. So AFC is on Saturday. Bleh.
Normally they do an AFC game and then an NFC
I know,
game.
they
This year
didn't
they're
do
doing
that
both.
this year, yeah. NFC is Sunday, I'm sorry. So first game at 1:05, we've got the Vikings at Saints.
Oof. Man, I hate to say it. but
Okay, they played during the regular season. Do you remember? Or the preseason. They played during the preseason. And you said,
yeah.
they look like two
That's right.
starting teams. They were just beating the mess out of each other.
Yeah, that's right. I was like, these two teams, even their backups are playoff caliber teams. And here they are in the first game of the playoffs.
And I will say, we both picked the Patriots for the AFC in the Super Bowl. And I picked Minnesota from the NFC, and you picked the Saints.
That's right. So this is a big game for us. One of us is going down.
You know what? Honestly, I think I'm going down. I think that the Vikings are the pretenders here.
Yeah, I got to pick the Saints too.
Yeah, me
it's
too.
at the Saints, so
it's just
that's more advantage for them.
I concur.
So we're picking all the same teams.
I know.
All right,
Quit copying me, Ralph.
Last one, I know we're going to pick the same.
How can you not? Okay.
Seahawks at Eagles.
Speaking of pretenders, we have the Seahawks at Eagles.
Yeah, this is going to be a beatdown. Seahawks.
I think so too.
Yeah.
This is remember in 2009, 2010, when the Seahawks squeaked in with Matt Hasselbeck at 7-9.
Fell back into
it was ridiculous, and immediately, of course, which came as a surprise to no one, we're eliminated. So I think that's where the Eagles are.
Yeah.
So we picked all of them the same.
All the same. Yeah.
This is boring.
It is boring.
You're boring.
Well, You know
what? You need to pick the Titans over the Patriots.
I'll do that if you pick the Eagles over the Seahawks. Okay, so the only game that really matters to us is the Vikings-Saints game, because that you said the Vikings were going to go to the Super Bowl. I said Saints were going to go to the Super Bowl. Only one of us can be right here. So bam, there we go.
Ugh.
And now you're picking against your own pick.
I am, because I just don't. They didn't get better this year. It's not like they've had this breakout year. They've kind of always been on the cusp for the last few years, and they just don't seem to get over that hump.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're a tough team, good, disciplined football team. They got some stars on there at the end.
Who's their quarterback?
Kirk Cousins.
Still?
Yeah.
See, I get Kirk Cousins and Case Keenum confused because they've swapped teams.
Too many cuss sounds.
Maybe. That's got to be it.
Kirk Cousins and Case Keenum.
Yeah, like their initials are reversed.
Yeah.
Casey and CK. Interesting. My tiny little woman brain does not quite distinguish.
Oh, gosh.
But now I just don't think the Vikings have it. I'm sorry. I wish they did.
Not against the Saints.
Oh, no.
I'd like to see the Saints-Seahawks play. I think that'll be a good game. Who else do we have left?
We got San Francisco and Green Bay have the bye the first week.
I don't think Green Bay's all that.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Typical.
Well, Detroit and Chicago both in that division kind of stank it up.
Trash.
Yeah. And in the AFC, we've got Baltimore and Kansas City got the byes. Baltimore, I think, has the shot at taking it all the way. I don't see anybody that can stop them.
No, they've beaten the mess out of everyone in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, they're just a good tackling, blocking team, man. They're just really, really
God,
good.
I wish they had fired John Harbaugh.
I know. It'd be interesting to see the Saints and the Baltimore in the Super Bowl.
Oh, that would be a good one.
The prima donna team against the smash mouth team.
All of these teams, I feel like the people who would be terrible in the Super Bowl, like the Eagles, like they're going to get wiped out immediately. There's no chance that they're making it.
Yeah.
But you never know. Playoffs are such a different beast.
Yeah. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. If you want to stay and hang out and listen to the Bruce Arians press conference from Monday, we're going to have it attached here at the end with the audio adjusted so you can hear the questions. We're going to try to keep to a schedule of 3 times a week until we can't do that anymore, until we just can't come up with stuff to talk about anymore.
You're truly going to have to bear with us because, as you know, the off-season can be very grueling. So we try to come up with interesting stuff.
I can't remember if we did what we did during the offseason last year. We were doing 3 podcasts a week, but what were they? We didn't have no instant cast. We didn't have no film review. We didn't have
I think just preview. NFL news and Bucs news and predictions. I think we did a lot of predictions.
We'll have to go back and see what our format was back then. Anyhow, hang around, listen to Bruce Arians, give some good football knowledge about the team. And until next time.
Go Bucs.
After watching the film, there's really nothing different than we talked about yesterday. You can all save your breath about asking me about Jameis because there's not going to be a decision made for a while. So that's a moot point right now. And we had a good exit meeting with the guys, and I'll meet with them all individually here this afternoon and tomorrow and talk about the future.
Can you take us through the process, at least, if you don't want to be specific with regards to, I know you evaluate all players, but obviously the quarterback you look at each week, right? You get every throw, you try to dissect it and correct it. So what will be the process? Is this going to be a long decision? Is it going to be something you'll know within a few weeks?
I would think in a few weeks, yeah. We'll have a decision on which way we want to head. Will we let it out? Probably not, because you lose your leverage on that one too. It's be stay tuned.
So basically we're in the end of our seats till when, March?
Maybe. Yeah, March is a good month.
Bruce, when you meet with these players individually, what is that conversation like?
The things they did well, the things they need to correct, where their improvement needs to be, where you're going to spend the offseason, and how you're going to get better. Obviously, you'd love to coach them, but with the rules right now, we can't, which is not real smart, but it is what it is. So how you're going to get better, will you be a part of it next year?
You talk to the team. Would you be able to share your message to them, or at least what you hope they took from that?
Yeah, the biggest message was, I think, the difference between us and the New Orleans Saints in September. They knew they were going to win the division. We thought we might, but we weren't sure, and it was too late by October because you lose playoffs in September sometimes. A lot of people don't like talking about that. When you start losing games in September, they come back to bite you in December, and some of those did for us. And I think it was just maybe we're good enough. Not really knowing. I think next year when we step on the field, we should know we're good enough.
Is it up to those guys to make that conscientious decision that we are gonna turn this around? We are gonna.
Well, I think we turned it around now. The last month or so, we were very competitive and still should have won these last two ball games and learn from those mistakes and build on it. Add new players like we always do. Try to keep the best we have and move on.
Does it sting even more, Brooks? Does it sting even more when you're going to go back and you're going to look at all the things you were pretty darn good at, like red zone, third down, rushing defense, and then you end up 7-9.
Yeah, and a lot of it was the growth in the secondary, but not all of it. The growth in the secondary gives me so much hope because our front seven was so solid all year. And the way we start playing defense in the middle of November gets me excited. It really wants me to keep working this week. And the things we did offensively, some were historic in the wrong way and some were historic in the right way. I loved the running game yesterday. I thought we ran the ball okay all year yesterday. We ran the ball well enough to win.
In terms of historic in the wrong way, right? I don't know that there'll be another quarterback throw 30 because I don't know that a guy will be able to go out there that many times to do it. You came in and said, this is his team. I know Blaine was here. He got hurt. We know that happened. But even in the event that you were deciding that we're moving forward with Jameis in some capacity, would there at least be less tolerance for those mistakes? And the next time, would you have another quarterback that would be prepared, much like Tennessee did with Mariota and shelved them and said, we're going to have a guy ready to go?
Yeah, I think you do that every year. You have every position. It's a performance-based business. So if you're not performing, you get replaced. So, yeah, to answer your question, yes.
But there was more rope with Jameis this season.
Yeah, a big part of it was Blaine getting hurt. And we had to find out. This was a franchise, so we had to find out.
What did you find out about Jameis? I know we ask you every week, your thoughts on him, but what did you find out or what questions did you have answered that you just didn't know?
He's a very bright, hard-working quarterback. He puts his time in.
Coach, you've expressed a desire to win now, and you certainly talked about the talent being here to win now. But if the decision is made to move on from Jameis, then you're looking at year two with a new quarterback. Didn't Tampa Bay your second year as the head coach here? As far as teaching the system over, does that matter to you? How much does that matter to you, having to teach a guy again the system all over again?
No, not at all. If that's what it comes to, he'll be expected to play at the level to win a championship.
You talked about the progress from the secondary and the young DBs. Based on where they are now at the end of the season, do you think the secondary's position needs to be addressed this offseason?
I think we could still look at a safety, But I love Dakota Dixon, and he was possibly going to be our starting strong safety until he knocked out his shoulder. So getting him back, hopefully getting Justin Evans back, I'm not sure we do. We're fine at corner, but if there's somebody on the board, and he's the best player on the board at that position, we'll take him.
You mentioned a second surgery for Justin Evans. Where is he at now in his recovery process from these injuries?
It's still too early to tell. The second one went fine. He's still a few months away.
Bruce, you were unequivocal when we asked you about Shaq Barrett a couple weeks ago. So he's not going anywhere. Should we read into that he's getting franchised, or I mean?
Well, hopefully we can get a deal done. We've got some very important free agents that I think want to be here, and we'll have a long, hard discussions this week. Jason and myself, the owners, and see what we can iron out, because I want to keep this defense together.
What about Jason Pierre-Paul? With so many question marks going into this year, and he finishes the season on such a high note, how much of a priority would it be to bring him back?
Huge, one of the highest.
One of those other factors, and one of those free agents is Ndamukong Suh. You had Vita Vea on the other side of him, finally go through his first full year in the NFL. How much is it a factor to bring in Ndamukong Suh to have that influence again as a veteran?
He's one of the top three. Now you can start with Shaq, JPP, either one. And Sue, I want to keep this front seven together. They've proven to be pretty dominant.
What's your feelings about the O-line at this point?
It's still a lot of evaluation to go into it. We'll sit down as a group and talk about each guy individually here Thursday and evaluate where we want to head.
Is it better at pass blocking or run blocking?
I think this past weekend we were better. We were fine in all phases. It's been a guy here or there sometimes, but I thought Kappa had a hell of a year. Jensen's as solid as ever. Ali's as solid. Donovan had a much improved, better year. And Dot is Dot. He's as dependable as you get.
Chris, you talk a lot about accountability. You have the accountability board. Your team led the NFL in penalties this year and led the NFL in pre-snap penalties. How big a problem is that, and how frustrating is that for you?
Very, very. I pride myself in having a smart football team, and we were not a smart football team. And one of the areas we will address this offseason.
Have you guys completely ruled out Jameis Winston having any kind of vision issues? I understand he wears a visor, but it's something that comes up from time to time.
Yeah, he's nearsighted. I mean, he can't read the scoreboard, but he can see the guys in front of him, so he's fine.
So there hasn't been any talk about contact lenses or anything like that?
He's got goggles that he practices in sometimes.
Coach, what do you need to evaluate between now and March when it comes to Jameis Winston?
Everything. Every snap, run game, passing game, interceptions, completions, the whole thing.
You mentioned DeMar Dotson. He's obviously the longest tenured Buccaneer. In your 1 year with him, what's been your take on what he's brought?
I love him, man. He's a warrior. You want to build your team around warriors, and he's definitely one of them.
We talk a lot about officiating this year. You got a pass interference call back after no call yesterday on review. This offseason, as you guys evaluate change with the process of officiating and review, what are the things you'll care about the most and lobby the most for?
I like to keep the rule. I mean, that was a huge play that, all started with the Saints-Rams playoff game, that we can never allow that to happen in the league again. So we came up with a rule. In September, the rule was working fine. And all of a sudden, there was a total change of philosophy on that rule. I think the one last week was pass interference, and I still do. It's almost identical to this one. OJ's offensive pass interference, I couldn't get a replay out to challenge that because that was a huge play in the game. Huge play in the game.
Speaking of OJ, look at the talent he has in terms of the measurables. And just the production didn't match the talent. Why was that?
Measurables don't play. Players play. And he's got a lot of talent, and he can play better. And we hope he blocked as best he has all year in that game.
Without evaluating every throw, since you do that each week, is decision making the biggest factor? In other words, it's not mechanical. It's not with Jameis.
The mechanics improved dramatically. I think everybody talked last year he can't hit a deep ball. They may be the best in the league. So yeah, all those things go into it.
Was it mostly decision making with respect to his mistakes?
I think that and repetitive mistakes. How many were there of those? How many? All those things go into it.
You started, you came here, there was no secret. You're the quarterback whisperer, and they had a franchise quarterback that they really wanted to see get the most out of this guy. Mm-hmm. In the one area that he had the reputation of turning the ball over, that was the area that you couldn't fix this year. So do you feel like that's it's clearly not totally on the coaching staff. There have been 4 other years where it didn't happen either, but is that the area that you most...
I think that's where you sit down. You sit down with him and you talk it all over. And all of us, Clyde, Byron, myself, Jameis, and look at it and evaluate it. Is the 5,031 good enough to win a championship? Or is it the 31 and whatever many fumbles losing the championship? So that's where you go.
In this team, is it good enough to win with another quarterback?
With another quarterback? Oh, yeah. We can win with this one. We can definitely win with another one too, because we're going to have a defense.
And you're going to sit back and go through the whole season and look at everything all over again. It seems like there are some common, denominators with some of these interceptions, whether it be, early on in games, some of those plays that are supposed to be high completion percentage throws, getting the quarterback into rhythm. It seems like those have given him problems. Or I know earlier on in the season, it seemed like the curl route was kind of an issue, or sometimes like an arrow route. I mean, is there any? It's a lot of times it's these short to intermediate throws that you wouldn't expect to give him a lot of trouble. Can you maybe pinpoint why those have been an issue for him? Is it a timing thing?
That'll be one of the things we'll evaluate.
Bruce, how motivated are you to get Godwin an extension, or is that on the back burner?
Oh, no, it's high. It's high. He's earned it. And, same thing. If we can keep the receiving core together, which is going to be hard, but we're going to try to do everything we can to keep that core, because I think it's one of the top in the league. I think Bouchard proved that in the last 3 weeks. When you put the three of them out there, it's pretty spectacular.
Bruce, with Matt Gay, we saw an early miss with the Giants that was real costly, then a really good stretch for him. Then misses in the last 3 games and 3 yesterday. How much do you think you need to address kicker in the offseason?
I don't think we need to address it, but we need to have competition, like we always do with every position. He needs to spend all spring kicking in that end zone, because when you look at the history of that stadium, that's where most kicks are missed, because it's a crazy wind across that back side of that stadium. And it's just getting confidence. You miss right, you miss left, try to hit it harder so you pull it. For a rookie kicker, sometimes that can get baffling. And I think it's definitely in his head right now, that end zone. The other end zone's no problem.
Because you think the wind factor on that side of the stadium?
If in the history of the stadium, it says so. But all kickers, not just ours.
Bruce, the return game, be it punts or kickoff, didn't really have a lot of impact plays there when you did bring it out of the end zone. How much do you think you might need to bring in someone specific for return?
We just need to get T.J. Logan healthy, because he was doing a pretty good job when he was in there until he broke his thumb.
Because you want to keep as many of these defensive guys as free agents, it's an allocation system. Does that also factor into the situation with your quarterback in terms of salary?
Yeah, the receivers, the D-line, the outside pass rushers, the quarterback, they're all in that same pot. There's only so much to go around. So we got to sit and as an organization, where do we want to go?
Because it's last year in the CBA, how beneficial was it to be able to have a franchise tag and a transition tag if you want to use both?
I think it's big still to have them, Not having them could cost you some players.
Bruce, 11 months ago, you get the job, and one of the bigger factors was being able to work with Jameis Winston. But now, first season's done, and unfortunately, he still has the same problem that he had in the previous 4 years as far as the turnovers are concerned. As a personal level, how much is that affecting you, not being able to help him fix that problem?
That's frustrating. To see the growth was great, but to see the regression in some areas was very frustrating.
Bruce, Buck fans have been through a lot, that. Through a lot of coaches before you came here. What's your message going forward to Buck fans?
We will quit beating ourselves, and then we'll be hard to beat. And the penalties, the turnovers, there are very, very few missed assignments anymore. The accountability is there. They play extremely hard, and will be a tough out.
How about yourself? You came into this, passed with a C.
I'm hoping to get a C+ this time.
You made it through a whole season without any trips to check up. How do you feel? You want to do this again?
I give about a few $100,000 to be practicing this week. Because I just know if we got in the tournament, we could do some damage.
So physically, you feel good. I know a few weeks ago you had some good boys that nobody knew about, but you feel good physically?
I feel great, yeah. I've got a great person working on me every day. That's the best hire I've ever made in Morale, so she's keeping me ready. Get my golf game hoping now.
Your coaching staff, you mentioned the interest that Todd and that Byron have for head coaching jobs, but absent that, do you expect to have everybody back?
I would hope so. I'm very pleased with the work that they did, all of them, in all the phases. So I saw growth in every area. I saw really good coaching in every area. I saw really young players develop that we needed to have developed.
Coach, can you spell out between now and March what you see as the options regarding Jameis Winston?
Free agency, who's available? What's behind door number 2? That's the first question. And then as you evaluate for the draft, that's another question. Are they better than what you have? And then you evaluate, and that's when you make your decisions.